And let's talk about this mess. So apparently, MAGA Minaj was all over social media with her latest tirade of mess. And yeah, it looked like I gagged because not over what she said, because she always been saying stupid shit, but how some of her fans, and it was in my comments, and we don't get into it, how they were like, oh, I'm done with her. Like, this was the thing that finally woke y'all up to her shenanigans and be like, okay, I can't fuck with this broad no more. But so yeah, that's the gag and that's the thing. So apparently the latest situation is that she thanked Donald Trump for, I guess, going in on Nigeria, and they talking about that they out here killing Christian people, which is bullshit. But we'll get into it. So, and it pissed off some of her gay fans too, especially because you know the way Christians are, well, how queer people are treated, especially within Christianity. So Nicki Minaj's social media presence lately has increasingly put her at odds with her fans. Most stood by her amidst her online spat with Cardi B, where she said that the Bronx rapper's oldest daughter was a roach and a monkey. Which, shout out to, who was it? Was it Key Mac from the show, who said that he can't mess with her because y'all be real selective when it comes to y'all Caribbean women and how y'all be calling people roaches and monkeys. So y'all want to get on Cardi B for for calling a girl a monkey, but when Nicki Minaj does it, all of a sudden y'all, it's a different situation. No, we don't move the goalposts when it comes to colorism. Colorism is colorism, and we're gonna call it out. We're gonna call it out for whoever decides to spew the colorism, regardless of who it is. We ain't gonna be selective because it's your fave. But let somebody else you don't like say it, then all of a sudden you want to come out with your glittered pitchforks and pitch a bitch. So now she found herself under even more scrutiny as she cozies up with Republican politicians and shows her support for the orange idiot in chief. Now, on Saturday, Minaj posted a screenshot of a true social post from Trump to Twitter that talked about how Christians in Nigeria are facing an existential threat and that he is making the country a country of particular concern. She praised the president and said that she felt a deep sense of gratitude because we live in a country where we can freely worship God. We can freely worship God, but you go after anybody else that you do know in this good old United States of America, we have a multitude of different practices and religions. Jewish people practice what they practice, Muslims practice what they practice, Christians practice what they practice, even them fucking Scientologists practice what the hell they practice. But overall, Pentecostals practice what they practice. You know, there's so many different iterations of religions that people abide by. So only Christians is what matters. And that's what I think people have a genuine issue with, is that people try to act and don't, let's not forget Catholics. I was raised Roman Catholic. So I don't practice organized religion. I live a more spiritual path. But the one thing I don't like, I'm just like, okay, live and let live, go and let have. Let go and let God. I was trying to find every other phrase. Now, all jokes aside, it's like I don't mind. People believe what you want to believe. If you want to worship a goddamn tree, worship a goddamn tree. But the reality is, don't try to indoctrinate your beliefs on me and say that you're more superior in your religious beliefs than what my religious stuff is. Don't step on what I believe because you feel like what you believe is more superior. And that's what this feels like here. And to me, Trump ain't no damn Christian. He's a grifter. He's a grifter. He's a con man. And he's going to jump on whatever the populist situation is going to be. We're going to break this down and I'm going to let you know what this all is about, because this ain't about no goddamn Christians. This all has to do with Israel. So he posted this long ass post, and I'm going to read it. So hold on, because I got to bring it up. He said, should I even show y'all? You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to show y'all the what his stupid lie social post is, because he ain't on Twitter. He said Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists, here he goes with that word, radical Islamists are responsible for their mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern, but that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. I don't know where he's getting all this information from. It's probably what these idiots are telling him, but whatever. Something must be done. I'm asking Congressman Riley Moore together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria, the numerous other countries. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. Well, you already know the MAGA Christian nutbags is what's really trying to dominate our whole situation in regards of them trying to infiltrate politics. I could have sworn that last I checked, we weren't supposed to mix politics and religion. That was what the separation of church and state. I could have sworn that's what was going on with that. But I guess when Christians buy into a lot of what's going on in our good old United States of America, and that's with 3 Ks, um you want to push forth a lot of your agenda, and money talks, and it don't take much for Trump to give you what you want, as long as you willing to pay a little coin tada, because he's a whore. He can easily be bought, kind of like his wife. Now, MAGA Minaj went and said the following. She said, reading this made me feel deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely, because there was a lot more to that, we freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. That's not what they run on, though. They want you to just believe in lockstep what they want. Numerous countries all around the world, and I said that last part, are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking him seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer. And you already know that this already pissed a lot of people off. Like, why are you aligning yourself with her? One person said, "Oh, Roland Martin, shout out to him." He said, "Child, Trump isn't even a Christian. He's a charlatan." I couldn't have said that better myself. Let me like that comment. Then it said one Rambunctious Gus, who is an adult entertainer, and we know each other, said Nikki and Azealia on the same boat. Gross. And then they went and posted this guy, see the persecution of Christians in Israel. They're spitting on them. I hope your president will address this issue. So, yeah, you got kids, the ones with the yarmulke and the little strings hanging on their pants. They literally spitting on people. You got this old man that's smacking this woman, this Asian woman. I'm not even going to show y'all the video. Like, I'm literally looking at it as I'm explaining to y'all. An older Jewish guy walks up to the woman, smacks her. She's talking, got a headpiece on. And then this kid walks by and smacks on the back of her head with a backpack. So this is what we're doing. And talking about, you care about Christians. I don't care about Christians. I told her this all has to do with Israel. But I told her I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring it all in a second. So they said, another person said, girl, Trump is threatening to start war with Venezuela and putting Trinidad in the middle of it. And you supposed to be Trinity. And your goofy dumbass is endorsing him. They should have kept your stupid ass in Trinidad. OMG. And then, child, one person put one thing about her rapist and literally showed a video of Kamala Harris going, so they are eating her up over there on Twitter, and rightfully so, because I always feel like if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, keep your mouth closed, niece. Another person said, yeah, sit this one out, please. You have no idea about the intricacies of Nigerian national politics. In Nigeria, we have families where one parent is Christian and the other Muslim. So stay out of our national politics, because when Nigerians are caught up in endless killings, you're safe in your own space. At Nicki Minaj, focus on Sudan, Cameroon, Tanzania, Uganda. With shout out to Zoran, he about to be the mayor tomorrow, and we got a Ugandan mayor that's going to be, running New York, and other African countries that have lifelong presidents who subject the majority of their people to abject poverty. Nigeria needs weapons to fight insurgents, and this move will hurt Nigeria's fight against these terrorists, because the U.S. government will not sell weapons to us. This happened in 2014, 2015, hashtag bring back our girls. Did you know most of those girls were never recovered alive? Kind of disappointed with this post, but everyone is entitled to their opinion. You could fund a couple of schools in Nigeria effortlessly, but somehow that doesn't cross your mind. Well, that's because she's busy trying to get she's spending all her money on Papa being his special needs stuff. So she ain't got time to be spending money on, Nigeria and all that other stuff. But this was another one that I came across that I definitely felt like hit the nail on the head. So shout out to Deji21_04 said, I'm Nigerian. Feel free to visit Nigeria again and stop parroting every propaganda you read on the internet. The recent killings in the North Central region have nothing to do with the Christian genocide or religious-based killings. Matter of fact, more Muslims are killed in total. However, the killings in the Muslim states of Kwara, Katsina, and Zamfara are ignored by Western media, while those in Plateau, a majority Christian state, is being selectively propagated as a Christian genocide. And then they also have in parentheses, note these states are all in the same region in Nigeria, in parentheses. We Muslims just happen to have the least Western connection to spread propaganda. However, even if we did, those spreading this propaganda don't even care about Muslim lives. The recent killings are by suspected herders of the Fulani nomadic ethnic group alongside local bandits, which have been remixed by Western and pro Israeli Christians and some Eastern Nigerian Christians as jihadists motivated, which is far from reality. Meanwhile, they're literally suspected herders of the Fulani ethnic group fighting over grazing rights and farmers, which escalated over the years to bloodshed and kidnapping. The actual religious extremists are Boko Haram, located in the northeastern borders in a predominantly Muslim state where their victims are predominantly Muslims. They're located in the northeast of the country around the borders with Niger Republic and Chad, and they're being suppressed by the military over the years. And they added her too. So it's like, if you want to know a lot of stuff. That's why I always tell y'all Google is free and it's your friend. So run up there and do this. And he even continued on to say this. And this is why I've been saying for the longest. Why do we always assert ourselves in other people's shit when we got so much stuff that we got going on in the United States of America that we need to be dealing with? But we got time to be invading in Venezuela, and then we got time to be going to Mexico, and you got to be time to be going to Nigeria. Like, why are we invading everywhere else and giving money to all these other people? But we got food stamps being cut off. Well, but it was somebody that he was going to give people half. I'm like, that's not your call. You don't get to withhold food stamps while you have some tight ass Great Gatsby style Halloween party at Mar-a-Lago, or Mar-a-Looney, as I like to call it. So yeah, one person says seems many African countries still cannot manage their country without help of hated white men. And then what he went on to say for Waz, who I just was reading his long post, he said, "We can and we never ask for your help. You interfere within other people's business uninvited. Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Panama, etc. all bear witness. No country you've invaded and left have had peace and prosperity, rather destruction and refugees. Our country's government never asked for your help or interference. Rather, pro Israel Republican politicians took this disinformation to Trump to shift attention from the situation in Gaza." Well, yeah, when you pretty much obliterated Gaza, go on to the next brown thing. And that's what they do. They want to just colonize and invade and cause genocide on black and brown nations. Remember, y'all may not know this, but like with the guy that was running Libya, didn't they anally rape him and then killed him, and then replaced him with an even worse leader? So they said kindly focus on the over 1K5 gun. Oh, I think they meant 1.5K gun deaths in America every month. America has far more gun deaths than Nigeria. Well, that's probably a fact. So yeah, this is all the stuff because a lot of people don't like to come with information or Google schmoogle do whatever. So I had to come with all the receipts because I stayed with the research. Now they also said that Trump said that the precaution of Christians in Nigeria may result in swift military action for the United States if it continues. In an interview with Al Jazeera on Sunday, a spokesman for Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs denied any targeting of Christians, saying, "We are not proud of the security situation that we are passing through. But to go with the narrative that Christians are the ones being targeted or the only ones being targeted is not true. There is no Christian genocide in Nigeria," the spokesperson said. "We continuously made our point clear that that we acknowledge the fact that there are killings that have taken place in Nigeria, but those killings were not restricted to Christians alone. Muslims are being well. I forget. I gotta keep changing the narrative. Muslims are being unalive. Traditional worshipers are being unalive. The majority is not the Christian population, and people will sit and run with what he's saying because they'll call them radical Islamists and all this other stuff, and then it's fact because it's coming out of him. And what people need to realize, Trump does not tell the truth at all. He tells his truth, and he wants you to buy into whatever truth he pulls out of his ass. And that's always kind of been his MO. So people really need to stop believing the shit that comes out of his mouth, because that's what it is. Bullshit. Down to the T. Because he even said something on 60 Minutes about some demo that they told him there was some Democrat that he was watching on TV that were bringing up trans people or whatever. And the reporter asked, who was it? Oh, I don't want to tell you. What the fuck you talking about? How you bring something up? You said it was a Democrat that you was watching, because apparently he only thinks Democrats are the ones that's on food stamps. That was also his belief. The dementia is dementia. Like, you literally see the brain rot happening in real time. And he didn't want to tell her because it didn't happen. You make shit up. All he does is pull things out of his behind. I don't even know whether he's even aware he's coming or going. Like, you had the prime minister, what was it, Japan or China, one of them, had to direct him on how to walk because he didn't know where the hell he was going. Like, we literally see he about to tip over any moment. The man is a mess, and you're an embarrassment to this country. But on the libs. Now, one of Minaj's fans, quote, tweeted her post praising Trump and said that they are tapping out of being a fan, writing, Nikki is as a diehard fan who genuinely sticks beside you through every single scandal. You cozying up to this effing loser, I might actually just have to tap out. But we live in a country that wants to weaponize religion so your gay fans can be pushed into a corner and silenced. And she responded to that. Then imagine hearing that Christians are being murdered and making it about you being gay. I'll advocate for you the same way that I'm advocating for murdered Christians in Nigeria, like I always have. Just remember that diligently, compassionately. Just remember that too. She laughed and doubted that the person she was interacting with was a diehard fan and threatened to block them. Well, she always feels like, well, that's her go to anyway. She blocks anybody because she can't take, she could dish it but can't take it. And if and I do have a friend who is a diehard um Nicki fan and a homosexual, and there's a lot of them. And she's talking about let's make America gag again. Not even with that pedo dick. So yeah, one of the people that I know, I'm gonna go through my comments. One person said, practicing is one thing, forcing is another, and that's something that group never understood. To my Christians. Another person, oh, her favorite color is 5'2". No, another person said, wow, guess this is finally it for me. Really, it was the unnecessary beef with Cardi, who did nothing to her. Well, to be fair, Cardi and the Barty gang were kind of poking the bear in regards to them sales. They weren't subliminal, like Cardi wasn't directly adding her, but she was poking the bear a little bit. So it was a little warranted. We just never knew it was gonna get this ugly. But being that they don't like each other, we should have known that was going to happen. But anyway, let's get back into the thing. He said, really, it was the unnecessary beef with Cardi who did nothing to her. I guess she's too dumb to realize Christians aren't the ones being persecuted. They are the ones trying to force their beliefs on the rest of us. They basically want the Christian version of Sharia law in the U.S. She's trash, and I will have nothing to do with her from here on out. Maybe she could perform for the Turning Point halftime show or get a Kennedy Center residency. You want to know something? That's not a bad idea. Then isn't Erica Kirk and them, instead of you threatening to drop the situation, hit Nikki up, she could probably use the coins, um, and have her perform at your little stupid Super Bowl thing. She'll never be able to do it because of her going in on Jay-Z, but she could do your Turning Point one. Another person said, well, I'm never the type of person to dislike someone for no reason, but she has always irked me. Now I know why. Well, and then another person said, even if she never said, it was hardly a plot twist. um, Another person said, why don't really rich people just let PR minions run their social media? I've been saying that too. It's like, and Nikki has the money to be able to get a PR person. The problem with her is that you need a good publicist and a lawyer, because instead of you spilling all your personal tea regarding people robbing you and all this stuff on Twitter or wherever you was posting it, why don't you just have the lawyer go through your stuff and file the lawsuits? Another person said, to be fair, she admitted that when she said that what she said about gay people in 2016. So yeah, this ain't the first time she's kind of been homophobic towards the gay, but because she wears a little pink wigs and looks like a drag queen, the gays will overlook it. What's that? The self-hatred amongst our community is real. Um, Sailor Mermaid said this is not surprising. She's been told she's a Republican for a while. Hell, she supported Mitt Romney when he ran. Oh, I got something on that coming up when I get my overall thoughts. One person said nitwit Minaj. um, One person said she trying to get on Trump's good side to get her husband's record expunged. That ain't gonna happen. But crazier things have happened. Um, But yeah, I had a friend that was like, you know what? Oh, I let things slide. I didn't go in and make it a big issue, but that whole thing definitely caused him to no longer want to be a Nicki fan because he said that how he has a disdain for Christian people. And I guess it's how maybe it's a trigger because he was treated a certain way by Christian people. When you calling people all y'all, as long as you holding that Bible on Sunday, you up in there hallelujahing, you're Gucci. But then after that, you can go back to being the bigot and the ignorant person that you are. And shout out to Jennifer Welch and Punks, because they be going in on the Christian people. Don't nobody read them Christian people down to the floor better than them. So yeah, so I say this overall, look, no one can ever take away the fact that Nicki is a talented rapper and that she's a beast with her pen. We got to give her props in the talent department. However, she has shown us many times that she isn't the nicest person, especially, with how she's gone in on so many female, like she can't get along with any female rappers. So it's like, clearly you got to be the problem. And that's why I appreciate the music when it's good regardless of the artist, but I don't do that whole fame worship shit like y'all do. Y'all need to go out and tussle grass because I don't understand how y'all be out here worshiping these celebrities. Because it's like when I've been around enough of them, I know what it's like. When you've been, in that scene in Wizard of Oz, when you see the man behind the curtain and you know how it all works, all the seasons they put in the gumbo, it's like, I can't be bothered. Now, look, this is the same person who admitted years ago that she's a Republican and wrote in a song that she was voting for Mitt Romney. But I should say this. She did clarify her words were satire performed in character and express support for then President Barack Obama. I think it was a bunch of damn backlash. She decided to backpedal. So I'm not buying it. And I still don't. So, and I use this quote all the time. In the words of Maya Angelou, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And as for Trump, based on what he wrote in that post on Live Social, what he's basically doing is trying to get the American people to hate on Islam. And, that whole thing where I talk about radical Islamists, that is a racial bullhorn. But we know he's a racist. And the funny thing was, when he was on 60 Minutes, he was like, they call me a Nazi. They call me a Nazi all the time. I'm not a Nazi. Okay, but we're not going to follow up on that? You just want to come out and say, you're not a Nazi, but you sure is acting like one. In the words of Shug, and I was trying to say like Shug Avery from The Color Purple, you sure is acting like one. And you're using that radical Islamist, dog whistle, or I like to call it a bullhorn because it ain't even a dog whistle. It's like y'all saying it loud and clear. And you want us to fall in love with Israel, especially with the backlash that they're receiving because of, the Palestinian situation and y'all trying to buy up, David Ellison and, with the TikTok and trying to buy up all of the media so that way it turns right wing and they get to block all the stuff that we're putting out there where we're informing the people what's going on. So, Nikki, you need to realize that while your music doesn't have as much impact as it did in your heyday, as in the Pink Friday era and all of a sudden when you first came out and the first two albums, you do have a huge social media influence. She has 27.7 million followers on Twitter. So while you may not think that what you say doesn't hold weight, it does. Because clearly a lot of people responded to it, and you already know, like, her fans are not going to go and look up the shit. They'll spend hours doing deep dives on her ops. But when you actually have to do research on something substantial, it's fucking crickets. So that's why I decided to bring y'all the receipts in case y'all try to say that, well, where's the proof in the situation? I brought y'all the information. Do with it as you will. So, a lot of times, unless you're not somebody who can think for yourself, you're going to take every word of what she says as collateral. She's propagandizing. And y'all going to take all of that mess instead of doing the actual research. So at the end of the day, ma'am, stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to, which is basically making music and having your Kanye-esque style crash outs on social media, and leave the politics to people who actually do this. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? I know it was a long one, but when it comes down to that stuff and we talk politics, we got to break it down. And I ain't doing no goddamn 2-second Twitter type situation. Y'all gonna get all the mess. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.